Israel. Learn English podcast with Safa Shelley, the world's best language school. Let's go.
ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות המוביל בישראל. אני אריאל, I'm your host for today. Welcome back. I'm with the one and only, the greatest of them all. How are you, Josh?
Wonderful. That's a wonderful introduction, by the way.
That is an introduction.
Very, very honored.
That is an introduction for like a UFC fight or like a heavyweight fight. But today we
Coming in with the knowledge.
Okay, so today אנחנו נדבר על משהו מאוד מגניב. We're going to talk about advanced vocabulary, אוצר מילים מתקדם לראיונות עבודה for job interviews. אנחנו נדבר על דברים, כמה מילים, אוצר מילים שיעלה לכם בראיון עבודה שאתם חייבים לדעת, וגם כמה ביטויים שפשוט לא להגיד אותם בראיון עבודה, because it'll come out bad.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
doesn't look good, לא נראה טוב, it's not a good look, אפשר להגיד גם.
It looks unprofessional.
looks unprofessional, לא נראה טוב, אתם תראו את הפרצוף הצד הלא טוב שלכם, and you don't want to do that.
Yes.
Alright, לפני שאנחנו נכנסים לזה, הקדמה קצרה כרגיל, אם זה פעם ראשונה שאתם מאזינים לנו, אם זה פעם ראשונה שאתם מאזינים לפודקאסט הזה, אז אנחנו בית ספר לאנגלית ועוד שפות, אנחנו מלמדים כאן 9 שפות, כל המורים שלנו מורים מקצועיים דוברי שפת אם, אנחנו מלמדים בשיטה הכי חדשנית בעולם, שבעצם מותאמת לישראלים, אנחנו מעבירים את המבנה שפה בצורה שהיא מאוד חדשנית, יותר קלה ואינטואיטיבית למוח, ושתעזור לכם בעצם לשלוף בזמן אמת. אז קודם כל, אם אתם כאן מאזינים לפודקאסט, אתם כבר רוצים לשפר את האנגלית שלכם, אז זה צעד נכון. תמיד תזכרו שפודקאסטים, יוטיוב, סרטים, ספרים, עוזר לכם בצורה מאוד טובה לרכוש אוצר מילים, להבין אוצר מילים בצורה טבעית, אבל כמובן פחות בשפה המדוברת, פחות בשליפה בזמן אמת, כי המוח והתת מודע שלכם עובד בעברית, לכן יש תרגילים מאוד מסוימים שאנחנו עושים כאן, כדי להביא את זה לאור, להביא את זה לידי ביטוי, לתת לכם את הביטחון ואת היכולת לדבר אנגלית או שפה זרה כמו שתמיד חלמתם. אז אם אתם מעוניינים לשמוע עוד פרטים, בבקשה צרו איתנו קשר במספר 053-550-1976, אנחנו זמינים כמובן גם בוואטסאפ, או תבקרו באתר שלנו, שפות שלי, safotsheli.co.il, אתם יכולים גם לשנות פנייה דרך האתר. So that's it. That's a little intro. We'll be happy to hear from you guys. And all hate mail goes to Josh directly.
As well, I haven't checked the email.
You haven't checked the inbox.
I haven't checked the inbox.
Okay. All right. אז יאללה, בוא נצא לדרך. Josh, give us, let's say, a couple words here. We'll go through them step by step. An example. Give us a word.
All right, so the first word that catches my eye is the word adaptability.
All right, adaptability. What does that mean in Hebrew?
Well, first I was going to say that I maybe if the listeners have noticed, I have a little bit of my voice is a bit different today. At least it sounds to me, because I have a little bit of a cough, a cold. So adaptability is the ability to...
Wait, you sick?
Not too, I don't think contagious. I think I just have like a...
Okay, you got a bit of you're looking under... Well, how
under the weather, maybe.
Under the weather.
Not too bad.
מה זה אומר הביטוי under the weather?
It means that you're a little bit, you feel underneath your normal level of health, right? Your good health. So you're not at...
You're not really sick, but you're not really good. You're just like לא משהו.
Yeah.
תרגום ליטרלי, under the weather.
תחת
מזג האוויר. It sounds weird, but זה ביטוי שדובר אנגלית משתמשים. What can we say? English speakers or weirdos.
We have our ways of talking.
Okay. So, יאללה, adaptability, בוא ניתן תרגום ישיר, הסתגלות.
Well, so what I was saying is the adaptability is the ability to deal with the situation and change for it, right? So I had work today. I was feeling under the weather earlier today as well. I could have been like, I'm going to stay home.
Okay.
Call in sick, which I don't do.
Okay.
And instead I decided to have a warm cup of tea, right? Some honey, and I'm dealing with it, but I'm still working. I would never call off for like a cold.
Hey, I want to.
You gave me a fist bump.
I gave you a fist bump because I just want to say that, hey, probably no. You want to know as professional people I've ever met.
I appreciate it. We all have our slip ups.
And you had various slip ups. So you've been here for many, many years, and I know that Americans, if there's a good person to show an example, I'm American, מאוד מקצועיים, and they lead the world. Let's say they lead capitalism is because of extreme professionalism, I believe, and I think you deliver that to the next level. Josh לוקח את המילה מקצועי and takes it.
Oh, thank you.
כמה רמות, לאן, he holds a very high bar of professionalism, and obviously we appreciate that at the school, and so do your students, Josh.
I appreciate it. I can only try.
אוקיי, הסתגלות. אז זה בעצם להסתגל, ג'וש נתן דוגמה, היום הוא הרגיש קצת מתחת המזג האוויר, which means he was a little bit sick, הוא הרגיש לו משהו קצת לא טוב, לא sick, הוא לא חולה, הוא לא contagious, אני פה לידו, אנחנו יושבים חצי מטר אחד מהשני, he's looking good.
Yeah.
But
I can give another good example of adaptability. With, at the school, sometimes students come in, they have a certain way, they prefer to learn a certain way, or let's say a student calls in sick, right? Well, we want to teach the students, so we can always offer a lesson, we can always offer a Zoom link, right? If they're not, if last minute, right? We don't like last minute cancellation, right? But we prefer to have a conversation, right?
Okay.
If you're stuck in traffic.
Make it adaptable. What you're trying to say is that even when you bring to whatever your job is, whatever your organization is, when you come into a job, you want to make sure that you have that ability to adapt to any sort of challenge, basically.
Definitely.
All right. I'm going to say one, which is very, very good, which is important. Benchmarking. What is benchmarking, Josh?
Wow. I'm not sure. I think a benchmark is like a checkpoint, right? It's something that when you've accomplished something, you get to a goal. That's kind of like you reach a benchmark. So and you're saying benchmarking, which is
setting a target.
Yeah, setting a target.
So we would say in Hebrew, benchmarking would be ashvat bitzweim. So if you're in a job interview and they tell you, okay, what would be your benchmark? You are used to delivering, let's say, 30 projects a month, and I'll tell you, can we set that as the benchmark? Is that your average benchmark?
Standard.
Or if we compare it to our team internally here, we can do maybe 40 projects a week, and then that's okay. That would be ashpat bitzweim. What can you deliver in terms of your performance to the company? All right, זה עוד מילה מעניינת. Josh, give us one that you think will come up in a job interview, which is interesting.
Diligence.
Diligence.
We have the word due diligence as well.
Due diligence. Okay. What is diligence?
So diligence is how much you care, how much attention you put into something, right?
Okay.
So if you are going to apply for a job, usually you should do your due diligence, which means research the company, learn about what they do, right? Learn about what the CEO does. It's usually, impressive to a boss when knowledge and a little bit about them, right?
Okay.
So definitely do some diligence. And then also when you work, if you, let's say, are working a lot with statistics or with a spreadsheet on Excel, right? You got to make sure that everything's correct. So you have to do diligence with that. You have to diligently do it. But
what does it mean to, I want to give, that's one way of what you explain it. But what about if I'm doing my job diligently? If you tell them I strive for diligence,
it means that you follow all of the conventions and formalities that require that you require in order to get the job,
and you excel at
fully committed, to get it fully complete.
Okay, אז בעברית we would say the most תרגום הכי קרוב לדיליג'נט זה חריצות. Okay, we have that drive to deliver something at a high level. Okay, that will be, let's say, the most basic way to לתרגם משהו כזה. אז אם שואלים אתכם, are you diligent? The answer would be absolutely. I'm super diligent and I've done my due diligence and I know that it's required on the job. All right, that's important. Okay, so let's bring another one, which is they're going to definitely bring up in an English-speaking job interview. One would be interpersonal skills. Okay, that's important.
We could make a whole separate school for teaching these too.
נכון. כישורים בין אנושיים.
Okay. Personal skills. This is something that's very important when companies require workers to work together in a team, right? Or if you're on the front end of a company and you have to interact with a lot of customers, right?
Okay.
Or public relations. It's something that's very important to have.
Very, very important. All right. What is your ability to deal with people and your skills? Also as a teacher, you have to have very high interpersonal skills, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because you basically come across the wide range of people, characters, אופי, let's say, ראיית חיים, the way they see life, the viewpoint on life. אתה רואה הרבה אנשים עם ראיית חיים מסוימת, also ציפיות שונות, people have different expectations.
Yeah.
So you need to know to deliver that. Not easy. Not easy. It's a skill that's acquired over time.
It's something that you build, like learning a language and learning to speak, you know, the interpersonal skills, developing those, and then also cross-culturally, right? If you're interacting with people from a different culture, I mean, it's good to have to be well-adjusted overall. And to be well-adjusted means that you're able to adapt, adaptability towards whatever is happening around you, right? But you can develop interpersonal skills within certain cultures as well.
Okay. I want to ask you something. You've been working a couple of years, and you arrived here like a young guy relatively.
Yeah.
Your natural interpersonal skills were high. I was impressed, like when I met you the first time. But you feel that as let's say you've been here a couple of years, do you feel as you've aged, do you think age is a factor for interpersonal skills, or is it more experience with people?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword.
Okay.
The age factor, right? I think sometimes, you know, as we get older, some people, you know, lose patience, or it's harder to be as patient, you know, for some people in general. But, you know, you also learn to deal with that, and you develop skills and ways of coping and, you know, finding new approaches to make sure that you're not, you know, approaching an issue or trying to deal with a factor only from one angle, right? So, and that's more to do with workflow and pedagogy. That's like a whole different discussion. But with regards to dealing with people, absolutely. I came here and I felt very much like an alien, because even though I had certain interpersonal skills that, you know, like trying to be well-adjusted, you know, being able to deal with most people, it makes you, it just means that you're well-rounded, which might be, you have like a lot of like, you know, overall traits. But you sometimes meet people who, you know, they're very much in their own niche of existence, right? The people that they're surrounded with, their socioeconomic class, so many different things that could, you know, make interaction with them take a little bit more effort, right? To make things go smoothly, because otherwise the dynamic is off, right?
Fine. Okay, that's an interesting point. I feel that from my perspective, like with the years gone by, I'm actually feeling a lot more patient towards myself and towards people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more important to be patient going with yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because sometimes I understand that there's no shortcuts, and sometimes the long route is the right route. Even Anashim have dreams, aspirations, they get very upset about certain things, but just know that if you don't enjoy the journey, there's no ending. Alright. עכשיו, בוא נעבור שנייה, אנחנו נשאיר בדקות האחרונות, I want to leave the bad, מה לא להגיד בראיון עבודה, the bad stuff, like to the end. Let's go through as many positive ones as we can do. Let's talk about resilience. What is resilience, Josh?
So resilience, I actually had a feeling you'd choose this. Resilience is your ability to hitoshesh, is that the word? To recover,
to show. In Hebrew, the word would be chosen. The ability to actually face challenges.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, you have like any major problem. I don't know, you're working on a big project and you're in delay, you need to work overtime, and you need to show resilience, because it's not going to be easy. Maybe you lacking sleep, maybe many factors around.
You accidentally pulled the USB out of the computer too early and it corrupts the files.
Or you made a mistake, which is going to
lost a big amount of time, you know, a lot of effort or
of course.
Progress, yeah.
זה חשוב בכל מצב, any position which has performance-based, which probably is most positions nowadays. But if you take a look at, for example, even football players, you see a lot, they miss a penalty. You got to have the resilience to come back.
Yeah.
Firstly, to have the רצון לבעוט the penalty, to kick the penalty. But then if you miss, which is pretty frustrating, I mean, you have the resilience, to come back and go for it again. All right, choose one, Josh. Give us one that you think will be useful.
Give me a second. All right, so I think the word integrity is a good word.
Integrity. All right, integrity. Yoshua. They're going to ask you this. This is the one which always comes up. Integrity. And אם שואלים אתכם, do you maintain, I mean, both.
There's a South Park episode about integrity.
Integrity, yeah.
Integrity.
Oh, yeah, the integrity one. I've seen it. That's hilarious, dude. That is it. Look it up. Integrity Farm.
Integrity Farms for our listeners. Check out South.
How? What episode was that in?
This was I want to say 2017.
You recommended to me the integrity one. I think you recommended integrity. It's
18, yeah.
pretty funny. It was a pretty funny South Park episode.
Yeah.
All right, so take integrity.
Integrity, yeah. And that was a funny.
Yosra would go with ethics as well, ethical.
Yeah.
Eti. So we'd say etiut, yeah. Eti. So eti from the ethical perspective and integrity. All right, what about initiative?
Initiative. Oh, so this is a good word. Initiative is, and this is something that I definitely have developed, especially living in this country. Israelis know how to take initiative. To take initiative, which it means basically when you, instead of waiting for a sign or waiting for, someone else to initiate or start something, you do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which Israelis are very good at. We're not good at waiting, right? So a lot of Israelis take initiative, and sometimes it can be found as rude, but I think it's, very much a quality of people who are innovators and people who get things done, right?
Yozma.
Yeah, yuzma.
Yozma. It's probably the most important thing at work. I think we use a ton of Yozma here. We do from every angle. Teachers, management, students. We see a lot of it, honestly, like a lot of innovation as well.
Yeah.
And really from all sides in order to bring English learning and the whole experience to make it an interesting experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see it happening because on your way, it's like from a few teachers, like the stuff that they bring to the table, different angles,
We have
different
such an awesome
thinking. Yeah, we have a crazy team. And also
crazy
curiosity. Yeah, it's just not just English. It's also French. It's also Italian.
Mm-hmm.
The French ones are really, really crazy. It's pretty interesting, like in a good way.
Yeah.
And then we have the Italians and Spanish team, Arabic team, which you've done also. Josh speaks Arabic as well, which is just a nice key point.
Yeah,
and
it's cool. It's a cool thing. Cool. It's a small fact about me.
A cool small fact, but look, we are a multilingual team. A lot of people on the team speak different languages. We have to know the challenge of learning a new language to be able to speak it. We have some English teachers here who would speak Japanese. Yeah, which is exciting. All right, so let's go on and do a couple more. What about leadership?
Leadership. Well, this is a word I think, given the events that are happening in the world and in our country, people are pretty familiar with this concept, right? Leadership is your ability to be a leader. Hayacholet lihiyot manhig tov, right? And it's something that, employers are often looking for people in roles where they think that they have a possibility of taking on more responsibilities in the future, or eventually getting a managerial role in whatever job they're doing. So I think leadership is a very important word that, in an interview you want to kind of try to throw things around. If you're applying for a job, right? If you're applying for a job that maybe, let's say, there's not really any indication of advancement, you don't need to bring it up as much, right?
Okay.
But if you see that there's kind of a ladder that can be climbed, then it's good to throw that word in the interview, bring it up, say, I've had leadership roles, or just kind of
manage a team,
or to hint to this.
Okay,
right?
Lermoz is to hint it. Okay, so basically you're saying that leadership is something that I just want to clarify something here for listeners is important. Firstly, leadership, is it something that can be learned, or is it something that you're born with? What do you think?
That's an interesting question. I think that maybe the best leaders are usually born with it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. So don't look for leadership role if you're not born with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that somebody with a leadership role, they know. You can feel that they want to lead and they want to drive to lead.
Yeah.
It's not always a good thing. Some people deserve to prefer to work solo. It's also okay, because leadership requires understanding people and making the whole team tick. Very difficult job. If you bring it up in an interview, you should have experience leading something. Okay, besides your pets.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Good one. Okay, so let's talk about one or two more that would be interesting here. What about competency?
Competency. This is a good word. So competency is something that every employer is usually looking for when the stakes are high, right? When there's a lot to lose. You want someone who's competent that you can trust on, right?
Okay.
If it's a role where you have many different people who can all do the same job, right? And it's okay if James calls off because he's a little bit cold or he doesn't feel well, right? Then you don't need to worry as much about competency to a certain degree, right? But if you're looking for people that are trying to fill a role, or you yourself are trying to fill a role that is very hard to get, you need to demonstrate to your employer that they can trust on you, that what you do will be right when you do it, right?
That you have the right skill set.
That you'll find it.
יש לך את המיומנות. competency זה כאילו בעצם המיומנות למלא תפקיד מסוים. For example, do you have any computer skills? אם שואלים אותך, do you have skills working on JavaScript or C++ or any high-tech experience? You would say, yeah, I'm pretty competent with computers. I know Python, I know these languages,
But a person who's incompetent, which is the opposite, right?
Incompetent.
Would mean that usually, like, you can be with one thing. You say they're incompetent with computers, but if you're describing a worker that's not good, you would usually say he's incompetent. Oftentimes, it's probably not just the computers. It's probably also other things too, right?
It's לא כשיר. לא כשיר או לא כשיר. It's also, that's very smart what you're saying, because competency can relate to skill set.
Yeah. Or just in general, your ability to do things.
בדיוק. אוקיי, תראו, זה חשוב מאוד, what Josh brought up here, כי לקומפטנסי, competence, יש לזה שתי משמעויות. משמעות אחת, זה כשירות לעבוד תפקיד, אוקיי? או you kosher. היכולת שלך לבצע תפקיד מסוים, that's one aspect of competency. Another one is the actual skill set, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that, one, are you competent with computers? Do you have experience? or יכולת לנהל במחשבים? Another one is overall general competency on the job.
Yeah.
Right. It's a little bit repetitive, but
no,
different way to look at it.
It does work though. I mean,
yeah. כשירות ומיומנות, okay, well, it's a skill set and ability. All right. Now, let's wrap up today's podcast. We made some time, and you know what? Let's do one more before we cut off for today.
We're going to do
we're going to do one more, which is advanced, then we'll talk about things you shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, let's say, dedication.
Oh, so someone who is dedicated or who has dedication will spend extra time doing what they need to do in order for things to get done correctly, right? Someone who's dedicated really, really commits. הם שמים המון מאמץ לתוך משהו.
Okay. dedication זה מישהו שהוא מסור לזה. מסירות. Okay. And last one, for what you should say, business acumen.
You're the businessman. Why don't you tell us?
Business acumen זה הבנה עסקית. How
do you pronounce that one more time?
Business acumen.
Acumen, like A-C-U.
And then men.
M-E-N.
M-E-N, business acumen, הבנה עסקית. So you can say that it's important. כל עסק בעצם, any organization you go into, they'll look for you to understand how the business performs. Very, very important that if you're looking to add any sort of value to a business, to have business acumen, basic at least, to understand that obviously you don't want to work in any organization where the main goal or the main values of the company is money. But you do need to understand how the business works so you can add value to the clients and to the business itself. End of the day, what makes a business succeed is the more important than let's say the cash flow, the profit and loss, or anything else, is the vision of what this company stands for. Because if it's very clear, then it's clear to the team, it's clear to the clients, and then you're able to change things for the better. And the moment that thing happens, automatically the business then should be profitable. Okay, that's a little bit my 2 cents on that thinking. Business acumen.
Impressive.
Okay, a little bit of business acumen for my business courses here. All right, now let's talk about דברים לא להגיד בראיון עבודה. Things that you don't want coming out of your mouth in English in the job interview. דברים שאתם לא רוצים להגיד. Just shoot some of them and we'll go through them quickly.
All right, so first of all, I don't know.
I don't know, אני לא יודע.
I don't know.
I don't know, אל תגיד, אני לא יודע. You don't want to say that in any sort of constellation, even if we ask you like...
How can you say, I don't know, in a professional way, though? Because sometimes you may be asked a question
which you're not sure about.
That you're not sure about, yeah.
Okay. So someone asks you a question that you're not sure about, you could say that, okay, I've come across this particular question or skill, and I'm still improving or still need to improve my knowledge on this. There will be another way to say this.
Yeah.
You don't want to put anything negative. שום דבר שלילי בעבודה, אל תגידו, אני לא יודע. תגידו, אני כרגע עובד על זה, אני רוצה לשפר את היכולת שלי במידע הזה. I'm looking to learn more about it.
You turn it into a positive by expressing that
interest in it.
Well, interest in it, exactly, right? That like you expect to learn about it, right? That it's something that you appreciate and want in your future, right?
Pagas, this is important. This is a good, and this is a nice tip. Okay, this is when we get into the nitty-gritty tips. Pity we have this for the end. Maybe we should do just one entire podcast. The next one about things not to say in a job interview. As we'll talk about פרק הבא, we'll leave it for next one. We'll do things not to say. I'm just going to drop one more quickly before we wrap up. This is just a stepping stone. שזה אומר בעצם, זה רק תחנת מעבר בשבילי. סטפינג סטון זה לעמוד על עוד מדרגה. אתם לא רוצים להגיד את זה אף פעם לשום מקום שתעבדו, even if it's working as a waiter in a restaurant, or even just a basic dishwashing job. Okay, have respect for your employee. Never come in and say, זה רק עבודת מדרגה בשבילי till I find something better, so whatever, couldn't find anything else, I'll just join up here in the kitchen and wash dishes.
Yeah.
No, because the guy who's hiring you wants to know that you can wash dishes the best as possible, and always, to me, right? Bring the best, show your best possible, like your best possible approach, because it gets noticed. Doesn't matter what the job is, and it's very, very important.
Sure.
All right. Do you have anything to add about that one, Josh?
Well, no, I agree with that. I think the next one is I'll do anything.
I'll do anything. Okay, you don't want to say that.
Yeah.
I'll do anything. You want to say, instead of saying I will do anything, if they ask you like, are you flexible? Okay, and are you willing to work overtime? And if the answer is yes for you, okay, then you want to approach it in a way to say that I'm willing to go beyond and drive success.
And this has to do with negotiation
as well.
If you reveal that you're eager for something, then it becomes a factor.
Exactly.
The dynamic.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a smart tip as well.
For worse or negative, you don't know. I mean, if someone hears that you're very eager to work overtime, they may expect or may think that that's something that you need to do, right? And you may find yourself in a situation where if you're not feeling like doing it one day, they're going to look at you differently than they would any other coworker, right?
All right, I'm going to give you a curveball.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I'm going to tell you one and you're going to answer me something you shouldn't say.
Okay.
Why did you leave your previous job?
Because
What wouldn't you say?
I made a customer cry.
I made a customer cry. All right, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What is the most popular one? And believe it or not, people actually say this.
Have you heard this before? I've never.
I've heard not the customer cry one, but I've heard people say like in a job interview, I left my previous job because I hated my boss, for example.
You've heard people say that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. You'd be surprised, but people can say something like that. I have people like come in and say like, we had thoughts about like killing my previous boss.
No. So I think this is also another tip actually is because some people, when they get fired or they go through transition, they want to replace their job right away. They want a new job, right? Mm-hmm. And some people I think maybe go into job interviews hot-headed. They what's going on at their previous job is still playing out in their head. So when they're asked about themselves, they're still kind of in the mindset of someone who has just been fired or just laid off or will be laid off, right? Mm. And so really, I mean, something that you should remember is, whatever struggles you have going on or past relationships, it's a clean slate when you get into an interview.
Definitely, you start.
And you don't need to take any of the baggage that you had outside of that, right? For the most part, I mean, if they ask for a reference, then it's a different discussion. Maybe we'll talk about that next lesson.
All right, so I think we should do another episode, Josh. Next podcast, זינו הדברים לא להגיד בראיון עבודה, וגם יש לנו מלא ביטויים כאן שלא הספקנו today about things that you should say, like customer-centric, decision-making, collaborative, critical thinking, what else do we miss? Assertiveness, analytical thinking. אלה, אני זורק לכם המון מילים כאן, אוקיי? אבל אנחנו נעלה את זה לכרטיסיות בתיאור של הפודקאסט, and hopefully we'll have another episode on this. And thank you guys for listening. Josh, thanks for coming on. Always good to see you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you feel better. You're looking actually pretty good. You don't look sick.
It is the podcast that helped.
You're looking healthy and just maybe a little bit under, a little bit like just tired, maybe. All right, guys. So we'll be back again next week, hopefully with a healthy Josh. It's been fun. Josh, thank you for coming on. We'll see you guys again next week. Thank you and bye-bye.